Here's a collection of actual crimes committed by really dumb criminals. Just sit back and enjoy the insanity as we present. Stupid crime stories you just won't believe. In 2022, the Hill County Sheriff's Office in Texas said they were investigating reports of someone impersonating an officer. This was after a Baylor University student says she was pulled over in Abbott, Texas. While she was driving on an interstate highway, she noticed flashing lights in her mirrors. When she pulled over, a man wearing a cowboy hat approached her car. She also noticed a gun at his side. She thought she was getting pulled over for expired plates, but the man told her it was for speeding. However, she knew she was not speeding. When he asked for her license and registration, she told him she wasn't really comfortable with him. She says there were many telltale signs that something was off. For example, the man was not wearing a traditional uniform and his badge was oddly shaped. It was clear to her that he was not a real police officer. At some point she was able to call 911. The dispatcher said they had no officers in the area. She then asked for a badge number, but the man refused. He then attempted to force her door open while yelling at her to get out of the car. After notifying him that she called 911, the man got back in his vehicle and fled the scene. A Hill County sergeant said that in her challenging him at that point in time, it led him to know that she was smart, she was going to remain calm, and that she was probably going to be calling 911 in a matter of moments. He also said that it's important to familiarize yourself with local law enforcement vehicles. Police described the suspect as a Hispanic man, around 5 feet 10 inches tall, 220 pounds, driving a black Chevy Tahoe 2018 or later. It seems that people pretending to be cops is becoming a growing problem. In past videos, we covered several cases, but it was never clear why these fake cops wanted to pull over other vehicles. Well, in these next stories, you'll see the clear motive behind this scam. One area that is seeing an increase in this activity is Frederick County, Maryland. In 2021, a cop impersonator conducted a traffic stop while driving a black SUV with a single blue LED light bar. The driver who was pulled over later told police that the impersonator wore khaki pants, a black hooded sweatshirt, black baseball cap, black face covering and a black tactical vest, which did not have any agency's name on it. He approached the victim's car, but never identified himself. Instead, he asked him if there were narcotics, guns, or bombs in his vehicle. After telling the fake cop that he did not have any of those items except for prescription pills, the driver said the fake officer asked for the pills and demanded the driver provide identification. The driver said he handed over the pills and asked the person for his police identification. He said that the fake officer went back to his SUV with the prescription pills and sped away. Apparently, this is an easy way to obtain drugs, be they prescription or illegal. The sheriff's office described the suspect as a stocky man with black hair and a southern accent. But that's not the only thing that these imposters are doing. Because not long after this previous incident, another fake cop was reported around the same area driving a bronze 2008 Ford Crown Victoria. According to Frederick County Police, he poses as either a police officer or fireman. They even posted photos of the vehicle in question on their Twitter page. During a local press conference, police gave more details on how these crooks were using phone calls to scam people. They also tell us how to avoid being a victim.
The rank of captain, with it using a Frederick County number and saying that they have a warrant for that person's arrest or the arrest of a family member. So what the caller is doing is asking the person to pay for the warrant with gift cards or green dot cards and then giving instructions how to do this. The callers are using, again, Frederick County numbers and again using the Frederick County Sheriff's Office mainline number as a callback number. So they're instructing the callers that if they don't pay, a deputy sheriff or police officer will come to the door, pick them up, and arrest them. Again, this is a growing scam. We've probably seen 10 calls or so just about the past day. Just last night, a young nurse, practitioner here in Frederick County, came to the law enforcement center and basically reported this scam and unfortunately fell for it and sent $12,000 to the scammers. So again, it's something really, really important. And I had a few points I wanted to make, but I guess I left my paper. So this, number one is this. First of all, the Frederick County Sheriff's Office does not call an individual to notify them of an arrest warrant. We send a deputy or deputies to that individual's home or place of work, either in uniform or with identification and a badge, to execute a copy of that. We have a copy of the warrant in hand, and we execute the arrest right there. Secondly, the Frederick County Sheriff's Office, nor any law enforcement agency, asks for payment to satisfy warrants, to satisfy fines, or anything else. No payments, no credit cards, no types of money of any kind. And thirdly, I'll just say, please, I remind people, don't provide any personal information to these callers. No bank information, no social security number, no credit card or credit information, please. And report it immediately either to your local jurisdiction, the Sheriff's Office, or the Maryland State Police.
It's pretty ironic that these perpetrators are committing crimes while posing as officers of the law. Normally, fake cops work alone and they usually fail the smell test. In other words, they look like fake cops. But this next story is about an impersonator who took this scheme to a whole new level. In 2022, police in Maryland finally caught up with 37-year-old Antone Tucson. He had spent over 15 years impersonating a police officer. He also had a female accomplice. The pair claimed to be deputy U.S. Marshals. They even had fake U.S. Marshal ID cards with embedded computer chips to resemble those used by the federal government. He was also accompanied by a trained dog that wore a police-style vest. This guy really went all out. His fake credentials even helped him get a job as an armed security guard. After all, who wouldn't want an off-duty U.S. Marshal guarding their business? But one day while working security at a restaurant, he attempted to detain two female customers who disputed their bill and were attempting to leave. When the women fled, Tucson called police and chased after them. He eventually encountered the responding officers from the Prince George's County Police Department. During the chase, Tucson was armed with a Glock handgun and a taser. He was also wearing a police vest. He flashed a fake badge to officers and said he was a deputy U.S. Marshal. He then proceeded to describe the situation. However, the alert officers noticed that he said he had left his dog inside the restaurant. These cops knew that trained on-duty canines always stay by their assigned officers. They then began to question him on his status as a federal officer. He then phoned his female partner and allowed the officers to speak to her. She told them that he was a U.S. Marshal and she was his service supervisor. Police still didn't buy the story and placed Tucson under arrest. By that time, his female partner had arrived on the scene wearing tactical pants, a bulletproof vest, a handgun, handcuffs, a radio, and carrying a police baton. She then asked the officers why they were locking up a U.S. Marshal. She also tried to gain custody of the dog by claiming it was her emotional support animal in addition to being a patrol dog. Police still arrested him and the dog was later handed over to the county's Animal Services Division. The U.S. Marshals Service said it searched its personnel database and found no record that either Tucson or the woman were ever employees. Officers subsequently raided Tucson's home and found plenty of evidence including stolen merchandise. He even had pictures on his phone of people placed in handcuffs. Investigators also found a printer for making identification cards, multiple illegal weapons including an AR-style rifle with a scope, tasers, handcuffs, body armor, and a sophisticated security system. Of course, he had the usual police-style vehicles equipped with red and blue flashing lights. But in addition to all that, what makes this more disturbing is that he also had a long criminal record. He had even spent time in prison. Between 2005 and 2009, he had been arrested multiple times for receiving stolen property and was sentenced to 14 months in prison for carrying a gun without a license in 2007. Yet, as soon as he was released, he was back at it again. The most brazen of these impersonations occurred in 2018 when Tucson responded to a robbery in progress at a bar and identified himself as a U.S. Marshal to both the victim and police. Tucson has been indicted on federal charges of false impersonation of an officer of the United States and for being a felon in possession of a firearm. He faces 17 years in prison if he is convicted on all the charges. His female partner could face a maximum sentence of 3 years in federal prison for impersonating and 5 years for the conspiracy. Be sure to like and subscribe to this channel. Our weekly videos will feature such topics as stupid crime stories, classic TV, and the real stories behind popular songs from the past and present. There will be even more categories as we continue to grow.